So now I'm going to get up here, we're going to talk a little bit about free training, my business, marketing. And so let's talk a little bit about the free training. If you go to the Santa SBREIA website, first thing that you'll see down here under Welcome Home is your key to financial freedom. If you click on key, then the next thing that comes up is this little bit of information about the free training. So what we've got here is we've got free training on marketing, free training on real estate, and free training on personal development / going green, okay? And a lot of people go, well, what the heck is personal development and going green to have anything to do with anything? Well, if you can't get your mind set in some place to actually move forward with real estate or marketing or whatever, it's pretty hard to do any of this stuff, because you've got to have some kind of mindset that even says, I can do this. You know, can I do it? Well, how can I do it? You know. So what happens here in the personal development, our goal setting, and a lot of people go, yeah, no goals, blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, if you can do goals on a regular basis, like at least once a week, like you brush your teeth, all of a sudden scary things start to happen. Things start showing up, and you might have a goal of 6 months, and all of a sudden you go, well, how did this happen? It's happening in 3 months. I had a 9-month goal that happened in 6 months. I had a 12-month goal that happened in 6 months. This is really weird. Well, the law of attraction just starts making things show up because you're focusing on this stuff. And you know, as we go through this personal development, we all kind of do it the same way. You know, a call comes up, we're getting ready to do it, we go, oh, I didn't do any goal stuff this week. I'm going to do it 5 minutes before the call so I can get something done. Even if you did 5 minutes, that's like 5 minutes that you would have never done, and that 5 minutes actually adds up to more each month because you're focusing on it and things show up. So, you know, it's not about beating yourself up, it's not about being wrong, it's just about, hey, if you want something in life, it's not like you even have to have it. You know, you're going to end up, we've got social programs out there that if you don't have a house and you're broke and you want to get free food, it's going to be out there. You're not going to die. But if you want something in life a little bit faster than you would normally be able to get to it, or even think about it, you do have to kind of go through the whole goal focus thing and kind of work on that seriously, okay? Real estate training, Victor, you know, is an example. He's doing a great job of, you know, getting out there and doing this stuff through the free training and generating income from doing it. So that is working. We've also got marketing, and the marketing is a little bit of what Linda August talked about on socializing, so we'll talk a little bit about that too as we go through. The marketing leads back to my website and my business of Santa Barbara Computing Services. Basically is web design and social media marketing, okay? And this has kind of evolved through the years. I've had this for 20-some years. But what we've come across here recently is a company that has something called Socializing, which is a component of things like GoToMeeting, texting, video emails, automated and manual contacts of submissions to things like Craigslist, not Craigslist, but your LinkedIn account, your Facebook account, your Twitter account. There's a lot of things that this marketing will do, but it's a lot more difficult to actually promote it and get people to do anything with it than I thought it was going to be in the beginning. Victor and I both go, wow, this to me looked like a no-brainer, because if you went out and did these separate things, it cost you $400 or $500 a month, but if you did it with this program, it's like $99 a month. And it does have either a customer-based side where you just use it and that's all you do, or a multi-level marketing side where you can build people up underneath you. So you've got that as a thing, and on the multi-level marketing side they talk about 11 different ways you can make money, and it's kind of like, well, they left the most important thing out, didn't even mention it. What is going on here? If you do this marketing and you get to know it, you can actually come to somebody like Sharon and say, Sharon, I understand you got this fantastic business going on and you need some marketing, but you don't have time to do it. I'll do your marketing, you just buy into socializing, pay $99 a month, and I'll come and set all this stuff up, I'll do it all for you, and I'll do it for $10 an hour, or $30 an hour, or $50, or $5, whatever. If you get somebody that tells you, I'll give you 10, but I won't give you any more, well, don't take it personally. It has probably nothing to do with you. It has something to do with how much money they're making in the business. They can't afford to pay any more than that. You might find another business where they'll say, wow, if you really know that stuff, I, Sharon Morgan, will give you $50 an hour. It just depends. So, you know, that's a whole business within a business that they don't even mention in any of their 11 sources of making money through multi-level marketing, whatever else. There's a lot of people out there looking for jobs. As I look at the internet, and it shows in different places where jobs are drying up because they're either going overseas or they're getting automated or whatever. You know, I recently read that a lot of people that were heading out into rural America are getting jobs because all the jobs are going back into the cities. Well, these are ways that you can work from home. You don't physically have to show up at anybody's place of business. I could be helping Craig here with his marketing in Santa Barbara, and he lives in Memphis. You know, it doesn't matter where you live to have a job, have a business that you can actually do from home. Okay? This is the Social Zing login page. There are some videos in here that show you kind of what this thing does. And just to give you an idea, everybody here's got a cell phone? All you have to do is text 60637, just like you were going to text somebody on a regular phone number, but this is shorter. So if you've got a phone, got a cell phone, you want to test this out real quick, go ahead and pull it out. A lot of places they say, hey, turn off your cell phones, we don't want them ringing, whatever. I'm telling you, put them on, test it out, try it. 60637 is the number, and then you can enter in any one of these things. For instance, if you enter Realty 411, what will happen is, as soon as you say send, because that's the text that you enter, just like you would say, hello, are you there, or whatever. Well, instead, you put in Realty 411, and you send it. What comes back to you a little bit later is a link, and it says a little bit of information, and when you press the link on there, it brings up a video that's designed through Social Zing marketing, and it tells you about their company, their program, what they have. Or if you don't want that to show up, maybe you want a video of your most recent thing that you did in San Jose or in Newport Beach. So there'd be a video of Linda talking about it as soon as you did Realty 411. So that's kind of how that works with marketing. Okay? It's not to replace your marketing if you've already got a bunch of marketing in place. It's to bring it up and see, well, okay, what things didn't I have covered before? And, well, gee, their meeting Zing is so much better than GoToMeeting. I'm just going to quit paying $50 a month to GoToMeeting. And in fact, they contract through Digital Samba, is a company who does their meeting stuff. If you were to get 100 concurrent user, web-based thing that people can come into and listen for a webinar, it would cost you $150 a month if you went to Digital Samba directly. But if you go through Social Zing, who contracts to them, you're getting it for $99 plus all the other stuff that has nothing to do with, you know, doing those video calls. So there's a lot of things that are in here. It's a great marketing tool. It's just more difficult that I found to get people to go, wow, I want to check this out and try it. So I offer, you know, the speakers that come in here and speak to either pay $250 to speak or pay $250 to sign up for the Social Zing. I'll put you underneath Linda, and you know, you can come back here and speak once a year for free as long as you're still doing the Social Zing. And then when you go out and say, hey, we've got all this great stuff in Memphis, but you could also, you know, market your stuff here with this program, that's another way to build that up. So that's why we're doing that. National Home Buyers. This is my main company for doing what I've been doing, and you would think at 65 years old I'd have it all figured out. Well, I'm long from it. You know, it's a learning process as you go along, no matter what age or place that you're at. And what I've realized recently is a couple things. One, as you build up any business and become successful at it, it doesn't matter whether it's real estate or you're selling shoes, your job isn't going to be selling shoes anymore, it's going to be accounting. Because if you don't account for all that money coming in and deal with all the expenses coming in, you're going to go broke, something's going to happen, and I'll bet Craig can say, yeah, my accounting and my business, there's a lot going on there. So in any case, what I've realized is that this is really a business of passive income. Okay, it's a tax issue. You've got to start. We're going to talk about entities here too. So what we're doing here is we're dealing with long-term properties. So we're purchasing long-term properties either for us personally or joint venture with people. And this is passive income. Our investors will get half the rent, half the profits when we sell. And basically my whole thing is teaching the tenants how to pay half as much per month to own it with no money down, rather than twice as much to rent it. And you know, if you buy a house in a nice neighborhood where people want to live and you get the right kind of people in there, and I have to do the screening to find these people, I can't just give it to a property management company, because normally their whole thing is to rent properties, not to sell them. It's a different mindset and a different game, and tenants become much more interested, just like Keith was saying, when he does the lease option, people are out there paying and fixing it up. That's what happens when you start working with tenants who want to pay half as much to own it than to rent. Now they've bought into the dream, and they're actually moving forward, and I get them to work with their local credit union of their choice. And I call the person on the credit union and say, hey, let's get these people into your office, let's talk to them, let's work out a plan. And that's what we do here with National Home Buyers, okay? Now, more recently, I've come to the conclusion with NHBIG, which is my other website and other business, is National Home Buyers Investors Group, okay? And Victor knows, he goes, Dan, where have you been? We're supposed to be, you know, buying and selling properties, and you're off doing accounting and entity structuring. Come on back, I need your help. But he's doing some too, so what I'm learning is helping him out. And what I finally realized, even though I've had this NHBIG for, I don't know, 6 years, 10 years, every time I mention a date, my wife Maria says, you always say 3 or 5 years, and it's been like 12. You know? Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah.
So what I've realized here is that this needs to be an active income business where we're not actually holding on to long-term properties, but we're doing strictly flips with them. And there's whole issues about tax structures and becoming a dealer and being deemed a dealer by the IRS, and what kind of things can happen when that happens. So now I realize that this was just kind of a DBA of National Home Buyers. Well, now it's going to end up being an S-Corp for doing active income and no long-term holding, so I can deal with the state of California that's going to come after me in a big way if I start doing very much of this, because I've done, you know, a $10 contract on $1 million home and made $50,000 in the past, which there are people make a lot more than that on just a contract assignment. What I'm saying is it can be done, I've done it, I know it can be done over and over, but there needs to be a vehicle for doing this, depending on how old you are, what's going on. We'll talk about that a little bit more. NHBIG is the training. This is where Victor and I are working with different people and bringing them in and saying, hey, you want to learn how to do this business? You've got to start someplace. Best place to start is learning how to locate properties and how to talk to those buyers or those sellers. We've spent a lot of time with different people's gurus, you know, lists of thousands of properties, nationwide millions of properties that are vacant properties. And you know, when you're doing vacant properties, you're getting people on the phone that basically are on the run. They're kind of in denial. They're not quite sure what they're going to do with it. And when you call them up and say, hey, Anna, I know you don't know me, but I found out you got this vacant home, and immediately she's looking at me like, what are you picking on me for? And why are you even talking to me? And what do you want to know about my house? And why are you bothering me? And so these people get upset real quick, real easy. But when you go to a Craigslist ad and somebody's got their house for sale, and I pick up the phone and I call up Fred, and Fred says, yeah, I got this house for sale. What can I tell you about it? He's all happy and he's all talking. There's a big mind shift and difference. And so when people come to us for training, you know, they say, well, you know, I'm working with these people doing probate or something like that. We can say, hey, you know, you can make money a lot of different ways in real estate. We're looking for the low-hanging fruit. We're looking for easy deals. And we're looking for fun people to work with. I don't care if they're Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, and they got $1 billion. If they're paying the butt to deal with, have a nice day. See you later. Don't need the money, don't need the time, don't need the hassle, because you can be a lot happier and a lot more productive and a lot more successful if you can just, you know, live a life that you get to create the way you want to and make it fun. Why would you want to make it anything other than fun if you're going to do it? Okay? So that's kind of what we're doing here with NHBIG, is helping build that those teams of people out looking for this stuff, having them learn how to do it as a locator, then they eventually go from being a locator of properties to a locator of maybe private lenders, and then maybe eventually doing their contract stuff, which is mostly what I do with the title companies and everything else. And there's going to be a point in time where they finally, maybe a year or 2 or 3 down the road, go, Dad, it's been great, it's been wonderful, you made some money, I made some money, but you know what, I don't need you anymore, and I'm moving on. Well, that's what this thing was designed for. It was supposed to get you to the point where you can say, hey, I can do my own thing now, I don't need you. The only thing I can say about doing your own thing, it's really boring. It's a lot more fun to work with people and work with teams and have fun and interact. That interaction with people like Victor and other things gets me off my butt, gets me moving, gets me thinking, gets me doing things that I wouldn't do if I didn't have those teams and that interaction. So even though you're capable of doing something on your own now, after you do it for a while, you're going to go, wow, I'm like the Lone Ranger trying to do everything myself. You're going to want to build your own teams. So you're going to learn how to build those teams as you work with this. And you can still kind of be doing your own thing with your own business, but still doing deals with this one way or another. Okay? So it's designed so that you eventually are capable of moving on. And you're independent. The whole thing, just like the Personal Power Project, it's all about becoming independent in any way that you can possibly become independent, so that, you know, you just don't need it. It's there, but you don't need it. If there's a big problem out there, I mean, it's not like spending all your time. See, there's a fine line on going green and being independent and being end of the world or end of times consciousness. Because if you're always running scared that, oh, the world's going to blow up and, you know, the government's going to lose everything and we're all going down the tubes, that's where your focus is. It's going to happen in your life and everybody else is going to be living just fine. You know, you've got to focus in the areas that work for you and make your life wonderful and move forward no matter what kind of chaos is going on around you. So another example of getting you independent and on your way. So what do? We sell houses anywhere from 20,000 to 6 million. Obviously we go higher than that, but at this point I don't think we've listed anything higher than 6 million. So got to have something to kind of put the numbers up on. National home buyers, passive income, long-term, NHBIG, active income, quick flips, contract assignments, and the free training. Join our team. You know, anybody's interested, join our team, be a member. It's all free, so, you know, we're here to help you learn this and get through it. Here's Victor with a happy smile on his face with a $5,000 check, right? So, you know, it can be done. He's doing it. And that's the fun. That's the thing. It's like raising kids all over again. I've got Michael and I've got Lana, and I'm so blessed that they are so normal, you know, so doing so well in life, because anything could happen. But, you know, being able to work with Victor and other people, just like having kids all over again, I get to help them. I get to, you know, show them what's possible. I get to, you know, stretch their dreams and let them actually go for what it is that they want in life. And that's the fun part of doing this. Okay? So let's talk about entity structuring, because I'm supposed to be done here real soon, and this is going to be real quick. There's a big problem of trying to figure out how you're going to do all this stuff, and there's a lot of people that say, hey, this is how you ought to do it. Absolutely, this is the best way to do it. Well, that's one size fits all, and I guarantee you, one size does not fit all. Depending on how old you are, depending on how much money you have, depending on how many properties you have, depending on whether you're a new investor or a seasoned investor. You could be 20 years old and not have very many properties, or you could be 65 years old and not have very many properties and still be a new investor. So why would you go out and incur a lot of expenses and do a lot of things that are just dragging you down financially if you don't need some of these entities? Because there's plenty of companies out there that can tell you, you go do that, you're going to be sued, you're going to go to jail, and you're going to be sorry you didn't spend $20,000 on my company. Well, you know, it's a lot of BS. So you really, depending on where you are, it might be true, but they don't know you. And nobody's going to know you like you do, so you're going to have to spend the time getting out there and trying to figure this stuff out. So these are the different ways that you can do entities, okay? And I found this guy here recently, Alex Everest. and I'm gonna try to get him to come and speak. He looked like he's really good, he's back from the East Coast, but he had some really good breakdowns on these different corporations, because I'm getting ready to, you know, do something, Ringwald Net.Inc. or whatever. I'm trying to figure all this stuff out as I go. And so from looking at his site, I just picked off a little bit of his information to show you a quick breakdown on the $100,000 in your tax returns, okay? So with an LLC, if you were to go out and flip a property, now when I say flip, I'm talking about a contract, basically, well, in this scenario, he's really kind of talking about you own it and then you sell it, okay? That's not really a contract assignment only, that's an own it and then sell it, okay? So $100,000 property, by the time you got through doing that in your LLC, you get to walk away with $50,000 in your pocket and give the rest up in taxes. And that's assuming that you don't have a bunch of write-offs. Any of the stuff that I'm saying is all my own bit of information that I've gotten here. It can vary depending on what's going on. I'm not saying that I'm 100% right. I'm no expert on this. I'm not here to give you advice. It's not my job. I'm not licensed for that. I will say that I am Dr. Science, so I know more than you do. That's a joke. You got to figure it out as you go, okay? And it's got to be right for you, okay? So, corporate, you're going to walk away with $56,000 in your pocket after taxes. C Corp, that is, C Corp. S Corp, and a C Corp is double taxation, so there's a whole big issue about double taxation in C Corp. In S Corp, you're going to walk away with $60,000 in your pocket. Now for me, you know, here's the thing about being deemed a dealer. If you're flipping properties and the IRS comes along and says you're a dealer, different things can happen to you tax-wise. You've flipped properties, haven't you? Okay, so we're going to talk to you. I'm going to pick your head when you get up here. What can happen is this, and I didn't really realize it was that bad until I read some of this stuff here recently. National Home Buyers LLC, let's say I've got 20 properties in there, and then I start flipping properties either in my personal name or in National Home Buyers or whatever, and the IRS comes back and says, okay, now you're a dealer. They can go back and say, we're going to take every property you've ever had and you're going to pay it at the top tax bracket as though you have no entities and no deductions or anything, because you're now deemed a dealer. And if you're a dealer, this is what's going to happen to you. Now, I've never really talked to anybody that's had to go through that, but the reason that these people, when they get deemed a dealer, end up suing is because there's no strict guidelines by the IRS as to how many properties you have to sell before you become deemed a dealer. So that when somebody finally is deemed one, they go back and say, well, I'm going to sue you because that's not fair. You shouldn't do this to me and do all this stuff. And so there's all this lawsuit and litigation that goes on around it.
Well, label you a home dealer, a house dealer, as
A real estate,
like a car dealer.
Yeah, like a car dealer. You're dealing properties just like a car dealer, okay? So that's a big problem, but in this information, basically what Alex had mentioned in there is that there are ways to do it and ways not to. For instance, why would Michael want to go out and spend a whole bunch of money setting up an S Corp when he doesn't even have anything to sue anyway? So what? Who cares? As long as he's not mixing in some of this stuff in his LLC, then he can protect the properties that he currently has in his LLC. For me, you know, it would be more important because I need to make sure that if I'm going to go take this on and do a lot of this stuff, I got to pay the California $800 a year, form a corporation, and basically he said that if you've got your flips in one of these corporations, well, they could deem you as a dealer within that entity, but they're not going to go outside that entity and do other things to you. They're just going to say, well, okay, you're a dealer within that entity, we're going to tax you this amount for that particular entity, but we're not going to touch any of your other stuff because you did it appropriately, you did it legally, and like we want you to do it. Yes?
So, I was told that one of these S Corp or C Corp or whatever form your entity takes hides or doesn't hide the assets from other other entities.
Well, there's ways of trying to visually not have it show up, and then there's ways to legally not be affected. Those are different things.
Well, that's what I mean. They do it for legal reasons.
Right, right. And so what I'm saying here in my own experience is that you really, any of the stuff that you see out there may be appropriate depending on your age, your income, your level of expertise, whatever. And just because somebody says you should do all these things doesn't mean that you personally should. It may not be appropriate for you.
Yeah.
You know, it might be for me, but not for you. And so you're really going to have to do the research and ask a lot of different people, a lot of different questions before you find out what's true for you. And just because it's true for you doesn't mean it's going to be true for you. So, you know, there isn't one size in all this stuff that fits everybody. There's generally one size that fits everybody that you need to know about so that you can at least get an idea from your reference point of where you currently are in your life. When does it make sense and what should I do? Okay? So that's about it. And, you know, any of that stuff that I talk about up here, a lot of times people will feel like, well, damn, you barely touched the tip of the iceberg and that wasn't enough and I didn't get it and I needed more and why did I come here? I'm free. Just call me up anytime you want to. We'll get into this. Call me up 5 times a day if you want to. If I see that you're interested, we're going to move forward, we're going to develop a relationship that's going to work, that's what I'm here for. Okay? I'm not personally going to give you guidance on your entities. I can tell you my own experience, what worked for me, but you're going to need to talk to, I'm using Anderson out in Anderson Business Services in Las Vegas. I use LegalZoom. I use a lot of different people that you can go to and talk to them too. But ultimately, it's going to have to be your decision. You're going to have to work with your accountants and your lawyers and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So I'm kind of getting over here. We're at 2:36. I need to cut it short for me. And we are going to have Kurt Davis come up here, and he's going to talk to us about no money down real estate investing. But you guys want to take just a quick 5-minute break or something, and then, okay, whatever. Okay, so let's do that. Let's take a quick 5-minute break, grab some food, grab some coffee.